Okay, so what you're looking at is the complete process of development of multiple beings, different types, white ones, black ones, yellow ones, whatever colors you want to give them. They're all different formulas in that way, right? However, in the times that we're living in right now, it had become a white or a black thing, right? That's like a caste system. And then when that entered in, there was an agenda to remove all of the melanin dominant power structures, period. Okay. And this is like a war against the snake. That's why, like, a lot of countries like America, they have a bird. Like a lot of these newer territories, they use the bird as a symbol, and they make it like the snake is the one that is the bad one. Okay. And this is that same celestial, like those things in the air, war with those things that are on the ground. And so it's very clear that the Moors actually had all the knowledge replete, like for thousands of years, but their knowledge didn't start even with language or math, but more of dealing with entities and spirits. You see what I mean? Like, that's why I was letting everybody understand that the Sharif is the controller of spirits, and that is passed down finally today as a sheriff who's wearing a silver star, which of course silver and pentagrams are used to bind certain entities. So now this criminal, generally a black dude, is the demon, and he's the one wearing the star and playing the role as a sheriff to capture and chain this demon and then make it even work and serve and do their bidding. You see what I mean? So because this magic works on all levels, someone base can take it and make a base game out of it, right? And say, okay, those same things that we would do on the spirit, they would do on the spiritual realm, because the Moors were also known, as it is today with the Haitians, as it is with the Africans, to take the lower spirits at times and hold them against their will or dominate them, because they're more gentle and peaceable spirits, mainly like the spirit. Some of the spirits of the water are very gentle and peaceable. So you can put these spirits in pots and make them do things that correspond to their domains, right? And they could be done, they can be made to do that under force, or also, which is like a you could use like a cunning. This means that, like, with every being, there's certain things that you like to eat, right? And so they could bring something or offer something that this being can't resist to accomplish certain things. So this is the realm of Sharifs. This is the realm of the Wazirs, okay? The real wizards. So then when we fast forward, all the other stuff like language and math and all that stuff is birthed from that, okay? So this means that when you're aware of that spiritual knowledge, which it's like encoded within us for sure, right? And I do believe that, you know, it gives you in certain ways mineralization. That's what I like to call it. It gives you more depth because you have that. While some, they actually were referring to them as the moon people, that this was like really one of their first times into systems like this. So the longer you're in systems like this, you become more layered, you become more weathered, and you become more wise until eventually you leave as the all wise one. When you first come in, you're like base. You only have really one layer. You're really surface. And so your whole way of going at things is totally different, right? But again, to answer the question here, so what happened is when the secret societies that you would say are black secret societies, which kind of ended with even King James, Charles, Charlemagne, etc., them finally bringing the secrets of the Naga into some type of Christianized version, okay? Meaning that they took the knowledge of Nubia, which is where the Naga sat in the seat of the Delta, came forth by day, and brought forth some of the first physical beings on the planet. So this particular culture, if you may, which spread the world and populated the world, as they've already let everybody know, the roots to the world is quote unquote nine ether. And I'm not sure if I kind of lost my train of thought here, but okay. So yeah, so what I'm saying is that, so then when these new societies came in, and over time, and this started with the overthrow of the matriarch for sure. It's already recorded. Like if you want to go through some of that knowledge, it's in Sybil. Maybe we'll have it for a whole nother day. But there was a queen. There were queens of the Nagas. Like the Nagas were a matriarch in themselves. And there came a time where the sons challenged their mother in a way where they began to take over the kingdoms and remove the woman from her position. And in that, some say that was the reason. They call it that the dazzling face ones were went to war with the black-headed ones. This is what it's contained in the texts that are in Tamil. Okay, and so in this, what I'm saying is that it then became where all of the occult treaties no longer had melanated people as a part of them at the top. Okay, so meaning all the secret societies were overthrown, like even Freemasonry itself. I did a whole show on this, how the Illuminati entered into ancient Freemasonry and bought in ceremonial magic, bought in a whole new different set of gods and new concepts and ideals. When the old one, again, the old arc is really just based on drawing power from the moon. That's what Solomon is. It's basically the magic of the moon, and how the moon is really one of the key components to controlling everything in the game, right? So this knowledge was racialized, where now in the new society, Black people could no longer have this knowledge, because either it not only awakes a certain part of them, but remember, there are many people who practice malevolent arts that are also Black people. It actually happens quite often, right? So you can melt down easily on your own power with not being able to control your anger. You see what I mean? So let's just keep it as it is, that just because you have power doesn't mean you know how to use it. Most people have failed in trying to control power, no matter what color they are. We continue to see this. So, but not everybody. But in this, because all the treaties were made, the new treaties were made with all Anglo tribes, meaning that the Anglo and the European tribes control the secret societies now. And only the bottom initiatory levels actually have in them where, these lodges are open to Black men, if you may, coming into these knowledge. Those are recruiting grounds. Freemason is the portico or the porch. It's a recruiting ground. So basically, when you apply there, all these other societies scan you and things, or if you try to go to another society, you got to apply. This is just stuff that you learn over time from others that are either in this or on YouTube talking about it. And you read something, you put all this stuff together, you realize that they're recruiting these occultists starting off in societies like Freemasonry to determine if they're going to become a part of societies that are now like 200, 300, 400 years old. But none of these societies really contain at their top melanin dominant people anymore, right? And this is because, again, that knowledge and wisdom about how to power yourself through the energy that is moving through every day and even through yourself will probably pose as a great challenge. Okay, so in conclusion, also, then when you can kind of quell that a little bit, no more practicing with the old systems, no more practicing with the old way that things were, you can then switch everybody over to a new system where they will be completely disorientated in this new system. And this new system is not so much as church and Christianity, but really economics and how to even deal with money, debt. Like they borrow money till they die, basically leveraging money from one to another. Also, the startup companies and all this stuff that you see. But the main rules that are going on behind the scenes that are sometimes things that we're not seeing that make things very unfair, and which is more than likely what Terrence is talking about, is that on those levels, medium to top, behind closed doors, when it's time to choose who's going up or who's going down, if you're leaving it to them, they're going to pick their own every single time, and they're going to try to hold down what you have every single time. That has been my experience. At this stage, we have not only created the first conscious ecosystem, which is a social network, is fully built out. It costs hundreds of thousands of dollars out of my books, right? We built spiritual AI, right? We got inventions, like you mentioned, you got the cosmic clock. I have nanoparticles, nanomineral, right? So all this, like, it seems like they could do one of these and become multimillionaire, be all up on TV, Forbes. Look at this one. He created 4 companies. How did he do this, right? And you're still pushing a humanitarian message, right? So this is the makeup. I'm sitting here as an example. This is the makeup of somebody who's really checking all the boxes. But yes, like Terrence saying, being self-educated, like I didn't graduate high school. I have a GED. I read all the way up to F in the encyclopedia and began to educate myself from there, then took my Microsoft certification and then passed that. And then when I would go and start getting jobs, they wouldn't even care they didn't even ask about whether I had been to college, or they didn't ask about whether I had graduated high school. They just took that Microsoft certification and they said, we'll put you on because then they could put in their business, we have Microsoft certified agents. So that's actually when I was getting my first jobs in technology, was because I got that certification. You see what I mean? So the reality here is that when you're, just like what we read earlier today, when you're put through quite a bit, and I try personally to stay on the unified tip, because the mind has to be completely unified for it to perform the great work. But you have to know where everybody is in this whole thing, though. It's not like you got good ones and bad ones. Really, you got temperaments and formulas, right? And you have to know how to navigate them, how to utilize them, and when to stay away from them in that way, right? But in this process of us becoming successful in this day and age, we could want to be nice, and this is just giving the truth here. Like, this is not everyone. It's like saying everybody is the one that's a terrorist or something like that. But in general, when we're trying to get ahead and trying to introduce something that is on another level and taking things to the next stage, it's not really supported, right? And then, like in Terrence's case, it's like an anomaly, because don't let somehow millions of people figure if you see it. You see what I mean? That's like an anomaly in itself, because it's like millions of people watched that Joe Rogan show. So all of a sudden, millions of people were being exposed to really a lot of the stuff that Rod Hayes and you see what I mean? You can start naming a lot of people, even Sanchez, and you can name a lot of brothers that I see here.